Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first ever Badlands Boys podcast. Sorry, I just got locked out of my phone there. So, we're going to go ahead and kind of start this off with a bit of who we are and what we do. So, my name is Nathan. Sitting next to me is Anthony, and across from me is Daniel. We are the Badlands Boys. Now, I was born in England, but raised in America, so I apologize if I've got a funky accent. Just roll along with it, okay? I'm sure people will ask, as they always do. I have a little bit of a music background, not like a degree, sadly, in it. I was a bit robbed of that. But I've also I've worked in the service industry a very long time, and I've always been interested in pretty places and paranormal and the unknown, which is why I'm here. Anthony?
Well, my background's in the video and photography, so yeah, that's how I'm into this. My interests are very wide spectrum. There isn't really
He's
anything.
single.
Go again. Yeah, no. Okay, well,
He has 2 cats, ladies, just saying.
pass that on to Daniel.
My name is Dan, and I've lived in Cornwall all my life, a beautiful 27, nearly 28 years. I, like Nathan, have also worked in the service industry for a very, very long time, about 14 years or so, 15 years. What else have I done? I've done a lot.
What about
my
your...
own,
Yeah.
I've got a little local business to St Agnes as well, called Perusai. So feel free to check out the Instagram at Perusai.
We're gonna
just a plug. It's not a plug. That's not the only reason I'm on there.
Yeah, the 4-minute podcast about him.
He's just plugging his little businesses.
So I do that, and I'm basically amongst all like the mines and
History.
yeah, very close to kind of history where it's based. So I've kind of learned and become really interested in like the mining history and everything along wheel coats. It's really interesting, as well as a few bunkers we found on the beacon, which we'll go into later on.
Absolutely.
But that is pretty much me. Play a little bit of music as well, as does Nathan. Ant plays music.
Yeah, Ant is a fantastic man who plays the skin flute.
Yeah.
Sorry, we will go on tangents and have bands. Just go with it. Anyway, so why are we called the Badlands Boys? Who wants to kind of tell a little bit about that
basically,
history?
the Badlands name comes from the coast that we all live on, and
That's right. So a good way to describe it, it's a 20-mile stretch of coastline between St Ives and St Agnes. It's still referred to locally as the Badlands. And a big reason why it's called the Badlands is back in like the 80s and 90s when tourism started becoming really big in Cornwall especially. And a lot of tourists like to come down. They'll usually make a bit of a mess of the place. They'll like occupy the beaches like mad, and it just kind of ruins everything for the locals, and then they also leave all their rubbish. Which is why a lot of locals, in response to that, decided to start putting up very specific signs and blocking off areas, making things more local only. Obviously, there are still places that tourists can go. It's not like, a complete warfare or anything like that. But so that's it's kind of been dubbed the Badlands because it used to be a bit messier and a bit
run down.
Yeah, but it's still a beautiful stretch of coast. But I kind of fell in love with the name, the Badlands, and then from there, obviously we're all boys. It just kind of boys. That's right. It just went off with that. Okie dokie. Let me pull up. Right. So now we're going to talk about some of the sites that we've already visited. We'll kind of go a bit in depth. We're going to link like a bunch of videos and everything in this, so don't worry. We'll make sure you can find everything we're talking about, including Dan's business, Instagram pages we do, all the stuff that we do. Okay, so the first one we need to talk about, guys, are the St. Agnes bunkers that we actually kicked this whole mess off about a year ago. So Dan, I think you know some of the interesting information first. You want to kind of tell us a bit about that?
My knowledge of the actual history isn't great on it all. But when we first started off, like Nathan said, we'll put the videos up. I think we had one day where we were all like slightly free, and it's quite a nice day, so we all decided to do a bit of exploration. And I remembered seeing these bunkers and stuff. I'm very fidgety, so if you hear tapping, that's what's going on. And yeah, we decided to explore these bunkers and stuff. One of it, which was, I believe it was an old water tank on the beacon, which originally
would have
completely covered in gorse and stuff, and no one could see it because it was just so overgrown. And then there was this huge fire on the beacon, and I remember looking at it. It literally looked like the beacon was a volcano. Just the smoke was bellowing off of it. The flames were so high. I think it took about 2 days to get put out. It was pretty horrible.
The whole side of that valley was on fire.
That's crazy.
Once it was all kind of like safe to walk again. I think one of my mate's dads went to have a look, and as he was pondering around all the bits of like burnt gorse and stuff, he found this massive hatch. So he told me about it, and then we went up there, had a little look, and it's very airy, isn't it?
No, yeah, it's very, very open. I mean, as you best described it, it is just like a massive
underground room.
Yeah, and I mean the strangest part is, maybe there was plumbing that eventually got the water out. Maybe it went somewhere else, but it was very hard to tell from being inside the actual
I think
room.
From what it was
a backup.
A lot of locals know about Cameron Estate, and it used to be an old
estate.
Yeah, an estate during the war. So we believe, and I'm pretty sure it is, the old water tank which would have supplied Cameron Estate back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
But jumping in there is it's like you're jumping into hell.
Yeah,
bits of darkness.
I think it was
It's
3 stories deep.
Mm. It's quite a rusty ladder on the way down and everything. I mean, it is.
I mean, it's riddled with tetanus, probably.
Yeah.
So if you want a bit of tetanus, go down there.
Yeah, we don't condone that kind of stuff. By the way, get tested, get shots. Be careful out there. All right.
Stay safe.
Yeah, stay safe. Wear masks. Don't be ridiculous. Living in this kind of bizarro day and age that we do at the minute. Let's just try not to get people killed. As all jokes aside. Anyway, are there any other bunkers you want to talk about that you can think of, or?
So yeah, there was that bunker, and then the other one we checked out. I believe we trekked over to just near St Milestone Garage on the outskirts of St Agnes,
just behind the old garage.
Yeah, there was a World War II. I believe it was like a nuclear bunker or
it was a bomb shelter.
Yeah,
really.
a bomb shelter bunker.
It had bunk beds and toilets.
When we first went down in there, sadly it's been kind of renovated and cleaned now. But when we first went in there, you climbed down these really rusty looking ladders. And you could hear this faint dripping in the background. It sounded like a horror film.
It's pretty creepy.
Yeah. Unfortunately, none of this was here when we all went. But again, and then you walk through into these little rooms, and there was these 2 old, rusted out bunk beds, which still had the original mattresses on there, really, really old. And then to the left, just opposite that, there was a communications table with a really old telephone on, a notebook with loads of random scribbles in, and all that. And then the strangest thing, and one of the things I'm not going to say steal, because we don't encourage that, because that is a crime. But with these incredible looking I believe they were World War II Russian, which was really confusing. Russian World War II sleeping bag jacket things I've never seen before. So that was when we originally first checked it out. Then me, Nathan, and Ant went up there, and jumped in, and it was all cleaned out, and there was a few things left in there.
Yeah,
well, no, because when you two first went in, I was getting ready to climb down, and then I saw movement from I can't remember if it was inside a camper van or near a camper van. It wasn't too far away from us, so I had the feeling somebody was nearby, and I was like, okay, well,
like a meerkat.
Pretty much, yeah. It's a shame. I mean, if they hadn't moved, I would have probably been able to get down there and had a look and get some video of it. But anyway, that was our first fun little outing. I don't think we did much else on that first one, did we? Not that I can remember. I think it was mostly those 2 bunkers.
Yeah, it was the first. It was those 2. Yeah.
It was getting a bit dark, wasn't it?
Our next little outing that I do remember, I don't know how much of it you want to talk about, Anthony, but it's entirely up to you, because it is sacred ground for you. I'm talking about the Kids Kingdom.
Oh no, well
every local knows about Kids Kingdom.
That's another topic altogether. I want to get rid of that Kiddies Kingdom name, because it doesn't work anymore. So
what would you want to call it?
Badlands DIY, yeah, because that's what
it is. Should we make up a sign?
Or Badlands.
I think just Badlands.
Yeah, because that's right on our coast anyway. You know, it's a site that has been there for me many years. That and Mount Hawke, it was either there or Mount Hawke my time was spent. And it's...
Doing what, Anthony?
Obviously skateboarding.
Oh, right, skateboarding, yep, okay. So,
that is all I'm about, really, is skateboarding, photography and video.
It's true. It's his like 3 things he loves to do the most. So yeah, do you want to tell us a little bit about the Badlands?
There's been so many different histories to it. It was either a gunnery,
like munitions factory kind of thing.
More of a lookout to keep our coast safe.
Oh right, more like a pillbox. Or something.
Yeah,
okay.
And there's also the other one, it being mine working. So the ore from the ships that brought it in came up to there, and it worked. It was worked and distributed all around the rest of that coastline. Yeah,
because near that Badlands skate park, there were like remnants of buildings, so I could see that as maybe like being different little mining houses.
Yeah, all along that coast from here to Porthtown, they're all dotted around, little mine houses and huts and water reservoirs where they would keep all the water to manage the stonework they were making or distributing.
Yeah, Cornwall does have a big history of mining and being very useful when it came to World War One, World War Two.
Yeah,
they had a lot of different listening posts, pillboxes, lookouts.
The Home Guard kept everyone that couldn't fight safe.
That's very true. They did a lot of training out here as well. I mean, there's all sorts. But anyway, we're not really here to talk too much about the history. We need to move on to the next one. So our next one to really talk about that's quite important is the King Dog site.
Oh, the King Dog site, the creepy site. The
creepy, bizarro site that started off as a crazy story that Dan was telling me about.
Which
so then,
we all did not believe until...
it sounded just so far-fetched.
Very much like all of us, I don't know, when you're a bit bored, you're scrolling through on your phone, you end up finding some really random stuff.
We've all been
I was going through Facebook on this local St Agnes site, and then this thing popped up about the King Dog mystery of Jericho Valley, which was really, really intriguing. So I started reading more about it, and it turns out apparently there was a video, or people witnessed this group of really nice, like Rolls Royce fancy cars, pulling up just at the bottom of the valley, all dressed up in kind of some sort of robes, looking. I'm not too sure. Did you work out who it was?
So supposedly, they believed it was either pagans or another account that I found. They said they were Jewish people of like Essenes sect. I think is what it was. Is how they were labelled.
So they got out of the car, and apparently they pulled out this big like box, which was quite kind of quite fancy looking and elegant. And they all apparently put this box on their shoulders and kind of marched it, paraded down to this certain point in Jericho Valley and buried it there. And apparently, like if you've heard of say witches, that they're not spirit animal, but they're familiar. Is like a cat or an owl or something like that. Apparently, this thing that was buried was a dog, which was incredibly kind of worshipped and really, really sacred, which then got buried down on that site. And I told Nathan and Ant about it, and went down and had a look, and everything kind of adds up because the original story was it was buried in the centre of this big ring of like green
tile.
When I had a look, they looked like old railway tiles. You'd have in an old abandoned railways. So they were the nice green,
very smooth.
Smooth, and it was a whole circle.
I think that for me was one of the most amazing experiences because obviously, I mean, especially corroborating the stories that we got to read about and look into and everything. And then Dan first checked out the site without us, sadly, so it's fine. We're gonna get over it one day.
Yeah.
And he was telling us about it and kind of gave us the rundown on where to find it. We'll link the whole video so you can, if you haven't seen it. And it was just insane because we come across the spooky, creepy little gate that Dan tells us to find near the road to St Agnes and everything, and we were like, oh, this is it's a bit normal. I mean, it's a bit creepy and a bit weird and overgrown, but it felt quite normal until you actually went through that gate, and
when
then
you walk through the gate,
all of a sudden it felt different.
There is an atmosphere. There is an atmosphere. I'm not going to lie.
It's quite heavy, isn't it?
Yeah,
it was heavy.
I've walked past that site for years and not even was aware that it was there.
You wouldn't know unless you went into that gate. And quite frankly, when you see a closed gate, your first instinct is usually just respect it and you move on. I mean, it's just on a trail into Jericho Valley. You would not think twice about it because there's little houses and stuff dotted around, so you're like, it must be somebody's back garden. But you realise it's not attached to anything else, so it's just this random plot.
Yeah.
And then so we went in, and we find this crazy massive tree that's fallen over and everything, and then we find the actual like green tiling, and it just kind of like clicked, and it just like a brain moment, like, oh my god, we found it.
Exactly. So what it looked like was there's green tiles on the outside, and on the inside it's big slabs of slate, maybe something like that. I don't
want to dig down too deep because I was reading more into it.
Yeah.
Because apparently this dog is maybe buried with some sort of like incredibly.
Is it like jewelry or something? An artifact. Okay.
Yeah, of like great value, all that. So apparently, like some locals at the time when it was buried, they went down there and thought, why don't we just dig it up, see what it is, because these people have just, done one now. Apparently, when they went to dig it up, they had the shovels, walked over there. As soon as they got through to the gates and were just about to put the shovel to the dirt, they all had this strong feeling of like dread and just that pulsating through them. So everyone turned away, and since then, no one else has tried to attempt to dig it up.
It's crazy.
I mean, we thought about it, but obviously we'd have to get permission from your own.
Yeah, we need to know a little bit more information before we start digging random plots.
Yeah. And obviously, if this is all true, and black magic, all that exists.
Voodoo.
We don't know exactly.
We don't really fancy getting cursed.
No, not ideally. Not yet.
No.
Maybe one day, but not today.
But it is strange because the whole valley apparently is meant to be named after a section in the Bible, and that whole valley going right down to the bottom has been known for
witchcraft,
and magic and all that.
Yeah.
There's a story I heard where there was an old couple who were living right down the end of one of the cottages, I believe. This is like, from what I've heard and what I've read, living down right at the end of this cottage, down at the back, and apparently they were known for, they were known to be into black magic and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, I believe it was the man of the couple. He became quite ill and ended up going to hospital. He was in there for a couple of weeks or so, and then I think he passed away. But apparently, exactly the same time he passed away in hospital, the woman died in the cottage.
Jeez.
So that's a bit weird, or a massive coincidence.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
I mean,
they could have had a special bond.
Yeah,
maybe that does happen.
Maybe they knew.
I mean, it's a beautiful looking cottage, but I swear every time I walk past it, I just get like a feeling.
Yeah,
that somebody's watching. Okay, so that's that specific valley is Jericho Valley, which is right next to St. Agnes that heads down towards Trevellis. Very, very beautiful.
Yes, stunning walk.
So the next one we're going to talk about is it was in the same video. It was this flipped over car that we found. That was so puzzling.
Well, me and Nath decided just to go for a little walk,
little jaunt, really.
Yeah, just a
towards the
walk.
viaduct nearby.
Yeah, and it's like a scene out of Jurassic Park.
Quite frankly,
if I can mention that.
Yeah, you can mention whatever you want. It's fine.
Yeah,
we're not getting paid for this.
Yeah, upside down car looked like some dinosaurs ripped it apart.
Just like knocked off the. It's so strange because it's not like there was a road or anything nearby. I mean, we're in the middle of the woods, just surrounded constantly by trees. The path we're even walking on is not only ridiculously muddy,
but then it gets to get a car.
Steep as well, isn't it?
Yeah, steep and insane. It like no part of it even remotely resembles anything drivable. Like so many parts of it is like a little tight squeeze through 'em. So obviously we had to go investigate. We got it on video and some pictures and stuff, and it was just so bizarre to see. And you could tell somebody would like been kind of working apart and ripping it apart, and maybe trying to dismantle it and get rid of it. And luckily, this lovely lady was walking by at the time, and she told us a bit more about the story of that car. and how like I think it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It was just some drunk guy just out on a little drive, out in Cornwall. Don't think he was local. I wouldn't be surprised. And I guess somehow ended up there, and he flipped it down the hill. He was alive, and they were like, "Oh shit, this is terrible," and he just decided to leave his car.
But what I don't get, because when Nathan and Ant told me about this, because they went off and did this on their own as well, but they told me about this car being like just left in the middle of these woods, and they said like there's no way it could anyone could drive it there. And I was doubtful. I was like, surely I'm sure they just drove up, or
there's got to be a way, right?
Or something like that. So I went up there, all sceptical about it, and we eventually found this car. And as Nathan and Ant said, there was literally don't see how or what way it could have come from to have ended up where it was.
Just mental, isn't it?
The only explanation, Harry Potter. And the flying car.
You know what? I can.
He had that before he had his
I can accept that.
I can accept that. Yeah.
I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that answer. That's good. Yeah.
That was an odd one.
That was on the way to the viaduct nearby, which I don't really know what else we can say about that viaduct. It's
other than it would have had the train kind of circuit going
from here to Perry, from the
right.
mine sites. So we've got.
This would have been back at the mining days.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming.
I mean, that makes sense.
That was just for
just for transportation.
Train station.
Yeah, that's
Estate, that would have all connected
around.
Everywhere.
Yeah, around here.
So Agnes has a train station.
St Agnes has a train station. It's now the
industrial.
Estate.
Oh, right.
It's the one we drove past, and it's got a big engine.
Oh right.
In front.
There's still got the original building
there
of when basically the actual station.
So it's still got the station
That's
house.
quite cool. Okay. Because I know there's another train station somewhere else in Cornwall that's just abandoned, but it's like a proper built-up station and everything, and I think that's
the one in.
It's like an outdoor station
outside of the other side of Truro, so playing place area.
I'll have to.
There's that one that goes all the way down and back into Truro.
Yeah, it seemed interesting, but at the same time, it's like, well, it's just a train station. It's not like you can go inside. It's just an outdoor train station, which I mean, there's millions of those, and some of them just people don't go to, So, but we do have other interesting sites, which we will give a little bit of a hint at the end of this, what we are thinking about going to next, and blah blah blah. Anyway, the next one we should be talking about is the World War II shelters that we found nearby, near Perranporth Airfield. If we want to,
they were interesting.
Very interesting indeed.
Yeah, we got seven. No, it wasn't quite 7 shelters. It was maybe 3 or 4 different shelters, a couple of random little red bricked up buildings as well.
But as well, if you look at the landscape of it. And once you kind of start realising what the bunkers look like on the outside, all the grass, everything they've grown, you look around, and there must be so many more just hidden.
Could definitely be. I mean, who knows how many people were stationed there? Because it used to be an RAF airbase back in World War II, So it was in operation. So we're just seeing the remnants of the past, it's just always incredible to see, especially so many structures still there,
still standing.
They are still standing, and I mean, we captured plenty of footage.
It just goes to show on the engineering side of it how well equipped. They were.
It's a big site.
Yeah, and because I mean, a lot of them sadly were very samey, so they're not the most interesting to talk about. But there was we can talk about 2 in particular that I would like to touch up on. So we've got we'll talk about they've got the Battle HQ there, which sadly we weren't able to get into. It is incredibly overgrown, but it sounds like it was obviously a very important building bunker in that place. It is absolutely underground. It's got multiple rooms, but it's very flooded. Way too many nettles and thorns.
That was where you went hovercrafting.
That's right. Yeah. Anthony and I did try to check it out, but it is just there's no way to get in there.
Like I said, we looked at it.
Get down there with
we could. You could get down there, but it
requires a lot of clearing.
Yeah, you can't you can't have a 2-man crew. You need a crew.
Oh, we're talking about to go down the ladder. Yeah.
There's
possible.
I think
from the outside,
when I looked at it, this was pitch black, mind you. All I had was a LED flashlight.
Yeah,
it would be very flooded,
and it looked like the bottom 8-9 runners of the ladder was
just flooded. Yeah. I mean, it's just completely open. There's no hatch or anything.
Surely there must be some sort of drainage in there. Because that wouldn't happen, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but you'd also need power for that to be pumped out. Without having power,
because it is proper underground. It's quite impressive.
That's
It would have been
sounds so
amazing to see.
interesting.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
it was definitely.
Oh,
it would have been so
I was
cool to
willing
see.
enough to go and have a look, but Nath was on the side of caution, and he said, "No,
we were not quite prepared. In my
we were
opinion.
not
I suppose it's best to
prepared."
get down a day. And I mean, like, I do have waders, so as long as it's not waist deep.
See,
So it's an idea. We can at least have another look.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
it's not far away from where we are. It's not going anywhere.
No, that's true. It's definitely it doesn't move.
If you guys want us to check that out, let us know in the comments below.
Hey, yeah,
Definitely.
another little plug there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. It's not a plug if it's for the same
Yeah.
one.
No, yeah. Oh, well, okay.
I mean, it's fine.
But it is like really interesting up there because of all the history from like so many hands had passed over like the
Absolutely.
airfield and how it was a war base, and I'm sure there's like I would love to get like a metal detector or something up there and just go around. I wonder what we find.
That sounds like
Now,
fun.
that is a toy I would really like
Yeah,
in
that's
our
it.
arsenal. Is
Yeah.
to have a
Stuff
metal
like that.
detector.
Metal
yeah.
detector would be a
But
great
not
idea.
only that was it? It wasn't only the few bunkers we found from like the war.
Mhm.
There was obviously that other one we found. Which
Oh
was,
yes, the big grey building. Yeah. Or
there was a big grey building. But then there was also the one off to the left, hidden behind these bushes, which when we walked into it, it was quite a small room. But you looked on the floor, and there was, or originally when I went there, it looked on the floor, and there was like a little fire had started. Like it looked like a ritual, a place where someone was doing some sort of satanic ritual.
Ah, you talk about Cligger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that further on in our?
Slightly, but that's okay. If
Well,
you want to talk,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, we can always
Yeah.
do-
I'll take that idea now.
We're still talking about the Perranporth airfield.
Yeah.
But we do need to talk a little bit about the grey building because that was probably one of the coolest finds on the little bunker expedition that we did.
It didn't seem like anyone had been in there for years.
No,
like,
it was
since 2001.
even getting to it was like you could tell there was a sort of pathway through the brambles and everything, but it wasn't very heavily used. And those doors, were like proper metal, weren't they? They were heavy.
Oh, yeah.
They were heavy duty doors.
Absolutely, it was quite a building. And then just to even go inside it, you could tell it was just like left in such a state of disrepair. And it's like maybe even squatters don't go in this kind of an area. It was so strange because we found like the papers that had like dates and stuff on it, and it kind of really told you the snapshot of when this building might have last been used.
Yeah, which then tied it back to the previous owner of the airfield, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. I think through like Jag.
Communications.
Yeah.
It was a Jag.
It was just so bizarre. I mean that building, you could tell it had just been left for so long, completely unkept. And I mean, like you had rust everywhere. Like the ventilation was like breaking apart and everything.
And then as we were walking through, Nathan was ahead of me. Not because I'm scared. I'm not scared of anything. But when Nathan was walking ahead of me, we were walking through this slight like doorway archway, and he stops, and I was like, "Nathan, what's your head, mate?" Looked up, and there was this shard of like rusty metal just swinging above his head.
God,
it was something out of like Final Destination.
I mean,
surely.
I could have died. Luckily, it didn't drop, but I mean, I could have gone straight into that.
It wasn't that. We found the remnants of wildlife in there, deceased.
Yes.
wildlife.
Oh, mummified deceased wildlife. That
Yeah,
is
the mummified bird.
a mummified
Yeah.
bird.
Which was in a scarily perfect position with its wings kind of flared out, but it was just a skeleton.
It was just unbelievable to see. I mean, you always see dead animals on the road, especially like roadkill and things like that, and you're like, oh, it's sad. But to see something
life
so
happens.
decomposed, but not like full on skeleton yet, like in between, the disgusting phase and the skeleton phase, like that awkward in between. It was just, something so bizarre to see.
It was after seeing that we kind of decided like
We were probably done here.
Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah. Right, so we talked about Perranporth. We need to move on to Tivoli Park. Do you guys remember this in Laren? Wow. So if you look it up, there's not a whole lot of information about it, but it always describes like, there's this 100-year-old abandoned amusement park or whatever. And that sounds so cool. And they're like, it's based on this Dutch amusement park. It's that's crazy to think. It's been there for so long. And they got a couple of pictures that really like draw you in, like, this big fountain and stuff. You're like, okay, that sounds really cool. So eventually we decided, we're going to drive all this way to Laren. We'll go check it out. Laren itself, beautiful little village.
Stunning, isn't it?
Got a little stream, river thing that runs right through it, which is so cool. Beautiful, absolutely gorgeous day to go out.
Almost like I'm not going to say Venice because it's not, but it's just nice.
In a way.
It's
Yeah, I could see that.
That really nice
Can,
river. And
Yeah,
houses
I mean, it literally
alongside
splits the village. It's insane. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. I mean, people have to drive little boats around all the time to help each other out. It was what a place. But so So we walk along the banks of Larian, and I'm like, oh, okay, so the map says it's up in these woods here, and we're kind of, you can see up into the woods. It's pretty open, and we're looking around, we're like, it doesn't look super exciting or anything yet. It just looks like a bunch of woods. So eventually we find our way up, and we do find it.
We do, yeah. We found like structures. Like
We found stuff.
We had high hopes.
yeah.
We did have high hopes. I mean, it sounded like it was. I would have expected
see,
a couple of,
yeah, I
maybe
was
not even
expecting,
rides, but like things
and,
or buildings, like more stuff.
Yeah.
A few more leftover bits.
And yeah, I mean, the fountain was definitely there.
Yeah.
There's like this archway and everything with it, and then you kind of follow it along. We found maybe like another little fountainy park thingy.
Pillars.
But Anthony had some good information about how that was all kind of like sculptured on. And what was that? The water fountain you said? He said back in the day, way back when.
Way back when.
I know what.
You were mentioning about certain body parts that some gardens were sculptured to look on.
Oh.
Yes, yeah. The Victorians like to.
They were a bit erotic and a bit naughty.
Yes, they were a bit naughty back then.
A bit phallic, were they, Anthony?
Well.
Anthony would know. He's seen many a fine phallus in his day.
And he's now blushing.
Yeah.
Thinking about me.
Oh my!
Okay, now he's drinking a cup of coffee.
He's
away from
he's trying.
Yeah,
he's trying to stall. It's not working.
It's a hard subject to discuss.
Oh, is it hard, Anthony?
See, innuendo's coming in here.
It's not on my end, though. I'll tell you that.
So yeah, the Victorians like to have gardens just built on the human body. To
parts of the body.
Well, that's very.
You can speak using medical jargon. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah, breasts.
Well, there's breasts. There's the lady gardens. There's
the lady gardens.
That's where that name has come from. Is from the gardens.
Come to my lady garden.
Yeah. It's all
That's
on the
funny.
history of Victorian.
So when anyone else now goes to like an old Victorian kind of style park,
you might think how beautiful that archway looked, but back then it had a meaning.
That's
Why
right.
I do like a bit of Victorian history.
You like a little bit of Victorian architecture, do you?
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, that's you. You were allowed to like what you like, my friend. That is fine.
It's a very good
and
architect.
we're allowed to take the piss out of you. It's great. That's what friends are for. Yeah, but long story short, Tivoli Park. If you're in Larian, it's cool to see, but I wouldn't go out of my way to go see it. It's just kind of.
It's a nice walk in the woods if
nice
that's what you like.
I prefer just walking through the actual village.
The village.
Yeah,
is lovely.
the village is
Absolutely
much
lovely.
more better for.
Yeah. What a letdown.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, it was still something to see, but I wouldn't have wasted an entire trip on it.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was far away. I
Yeah.
mean, one of the funniest parts was when I believe it was like me, you, Nathan, Sophie, were like walking around just having a look, and Ant just started darting off on his own.
You will see in many
trying to shout
videos.
him.
Anthony
He's
does
like
this.
He's
He
just like a wild dog.
he gets possessed by
dashing off.
demons or pixies or something. We're not quite sure yet.
Yeah.
He won't tell us, but he
It
says
does
something
make
speaks
sense,
to
though,
him.
because there is the myth of the pixies, isn't there?
That's
where
yeah.
They're meant to lead you off the pathway, and the only way to break that spell is by turning your coat inside out.
That's right.
So maybe Ant, if you try that next time, you might
Yeah.
dart
The
off.
reason they mess with Anthony is because he doesn't wear coats. He wears hoodies.
Hoodies.
So they've learned from this. Like, you can't turn that inside out very easy, can he? Now he'd be stripping naked before he knows it.
Yes, indeed.
So
Oh.
if you know someone who is, you go on walks with, and they end up just strolling off, not abiding by the paths or anything like that, tell them to turn their coat inside out.
Might just
And then
save their
get
life. You never know.
Damn pixies.
Right, the next location we're going to talk about is Cliggan Mine. So it's a wolframite mine near Perranporth. It was it used to produce like dynamite. Some of its materials like tungsten and things were used to make tanks. It's changed hands quite a few times. It was a mine, then it became like a munitions factory and things. A lot of the remnants of it are still there, which is quite cool. There's even a plaque you can read some of the history about, which is quite fascinating to see. It's also perched like just perfectly on the coast. It's just a gorgeous sight, especially on the right kind of day. And this is the place that Dan wants to talk about with his little satanic find.
Yes. So this is like way back a few years ago, and I just went for a walk.
When Dan was a cultist.
Yeah, but let's not talk about that. We can save that for another podcast.
You got to pay for that one.
Yeah, this is our Patreon one. So yeah, we went for a little walk there like a few years back now, and I remember this one building, kind of hidden away behind these bushes, along this kind of like slightly less used pathway. We found this building, walked inside it. We're just kind of looking around. It's a concrete building, and on the pillars, these wooden pillars, structural pillars going across on the roof, there was writing. I couldn't quite make it out because at that point my vision started going, worse for wear. Now I'm getting old.
He's a whopping 28 people.
Yeah, took a glance at it, and believe it or not, on the beams it said, "Bring her head back to me." I wasn't too sure what to think of that. I was a little bit worried. And then I kind of carried on proceeding through the building, and right at the end of it, I found it came to a dead end, and on the end of on the wall, there was a pentagram.
Pentagram. That's right.
Yeah.
Three
One of them,
triangles.
a weird star thing. And then beneath that, on the floor, was like a little fire. Looked like a little fire had been started, with different types of bones around the outside of it, and then on either side of the pentagram there was two red, it looked like bloody handprints have slid down there. So I saw that, I remember that for a long time because it's something would stay with you. And I mentioned that to Ant and Nathan, and then we ended up having a walk over there. Unfortunately the fire wasn't there, was it?
I mean, they're like remnants of a little fire pit, yeah.
You
But the
could see
pentagram
that
and
they had
everything
one.
was still there.
Yeah.
That was quite something.
I mean, I have heard that there has been quite a lot of dark arts and rituals and stuff like that going on up there.
Mm.
I mean, I guess that must have been proof of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's some evidence, if you ask me. That is, you can't really beat that. It can't just be kids dicking about. It's a bit too dark to dick about, isn't it? Yeah. And so when we were leaving the Cligger Mine area, this was another great example of Anthony getting possessed or something. If you really want it, I've got a little video clip that I can tease out there of him just going off on his own while we're all walking back with the car. He just takes a completely different path, and you see him running in the darkness and stuff. It was really, really eerie to see. And then when he finally did link back up with us, he was it was like he didn't even want to talk about it. It was completely normal. And we were just
yeah.
Conversation
just blanked out.
It was so strange, yeah. We're just like, oh, okay.
Well, now looking back on that,
yes, that did happen.
Yes, Anthony.
Yeah.
I have video proof. It's not up yet, but I do have it.
You guys were walking to the right, and then all of a sudden, I had an urge to go left.
Some pretty lady was talking to him that we couldn't see, I suppose. I don't know, or was it another Victorian lady garden that was tempting your way?
There's definitely no gardens up on that because that is a mine site. So
what did you see? What can you tell us about your mind at the time?
Well, I don't know really. It was just a weird sensation. I needed to go that way, and now I had to go, didn't I? Yeah.
You had to go.
That's how most of my adventures actually happen. I'm walking, and all of a sudden,
I mean, it is I do find if you don't stick to the footpath,
you're never going to find. Yeah.
Go off track. You can end up being in the most random.
You find the most.
Sometimes amazing things.
Yeah.
It's true. That is quite true.
So
anyway, moving on from the Cligger Mine area and Anthony's blank-mindedness, being possessed. We're going to talk about the abandoned church, the St. Cohen Church near Truro. What a sight that was!
Beautifully dark.
It was incredible.
When we arrived, the sun was setting, and so photogenic.
It was gorgeous, which is the strangest thing to say about an old broken down church with a graveyard.
It was such a beautiful contrast.
It was.
Yeah. The light, the colours.
It was stunning. It was absolutely stunning. I mean, the site itself, is still quite intact, although you could tell obviously nobody works on it. But I mean, they've still got it's a graveyard with a church in it. It's just astounding to see. I mean,
it's very much still kind of intact, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when was it abandoned? About 100 years ago.
Yeah, that's what the stories say. For some reason, everything was abandoned 100 years ago.
What happened? What happened?
Yeah, we need to find out what happened there.
Was that kind of like coronavirus 0.05?
For all we know, maybe. Yeah. I mean, the records they're not always there. No, I think like they didn't have enough money or something, and so the person who did own it, he just kind of just left. I don't think it's an exciting story, if I remember correctly. It didn't seem very exciting. It was just
the place itself is exciting.
It is exciting. It's quite
the view across
Yeah.
Looking out across the
Yeah,
valley.
it is quite something. Yeah.
And I mean, what was the oldest? Can you remember the oldest gravestones we saw?
Yeah, it's so strange, right? Because it says that it was abandoned like around 100 years ago. Supposedly, that's what the stories say. But some of the graves made us.
Some quite recent, weren't
Yeah, they were like dating like maybe only 80 years or maybe 70 years, and we were like, oh, that's a bit strange.
Like 33 years.
Yeah, something like that, exactly. And it's like, well, it's you don't just predict a death and then just have a gravestone ready for it and everything. It's obviously somebody had to have been buried here. You're not just going to go, I just whack on any old date, it'll be fine. Nobody does that. If they do, that's strange, and you should stop doing that. Right, so we'll move on from St. Cohen Church, and we'll talk about Kennel Vale.
Kennel Vale.
Yeah.
No, that's another.
What a gorgeous site. That video is not out yet at the time of this recording. I am working on it, I promise.
I think out of all the, I would say out of all the, I would say outside stuff, but all the stuff we do is outside. But I would say that one of my favourite places.
It is stunning. There is so much. It's very true.
Really interesting as well.
Yeah, I mean it was an old gunpowder valley and everything. They had, I suppose, their own form of a munitions factory and everything. They had the stream running down the whole place. It's just incredible.
History as well. There's an explosion, wasn't there?
Yeah, that's right.
Wasn't there like 5 people passed away?
That's right.
And apparently, it's meant to be very haunted, and a few people have seen.
Which would be great. I would love to do a nighttime investigation there.
If you want us to do a nighttime exploration down
there,
we
go.
Maybe like a live ghost.
Yeah, we could do a little.
We can always do things like that. Yeah.
Play around with some ghosties. Then Anthony gets possessed again. It's fine,
Yeah, so
I'm down with that as long as they don't hurt me.
Well, Anthony, I mean, they might do something to you. I don't know what they'll do to you, but you never know what they're going to do.
It sounds like you get touched quite a lot by ghosts.
Yeah.
Well,
Steve, the local ghost. Yeah.
Steve, the local ghost, and Anthony, they get up to some
he taps you on the shoulder, or
Maybe
kitchen banter, basically.
Yeah, that's right. Kitchen banter. That's all it is. Yeah, you and Steve.
Yeah.
In the wee hours of the night.
I think
banging away.
This is okay. Back to this is what we were talking about when we go off on a tangent.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Talking about ghostly love. It's going to turn out.
Nobody said it was love.
We're not sitting around making vases.
Anyway, right, yeah.
But I think one of the funnest things to do down at the I can't remember what it's called now.
Kennel Vale,
yeah. Was when you get down to the bottom and you walk your way through these winding pathways and you're seeing all these buildings. You get down to a certain part where there's these kind of gushing waterfalls, like coming over about head height.
Yeah.
There's one of them down there. You can literally get right behind. You might get a little bit wet.
You will get very wet.
But it's quite cool, and if you film that in slow motion, it looks sick.
It does look sick, mate.
So yeah, it seemed like that's kind of the thing to do down there because the people behind us
go have a free shower.
Yeah, the people behind us went and did that as well. And,
I mean, it's tons of buildings still there, plenty of knockdown trees, but I mean that's just going to happen anyway.
We went there just after that kind of storm, and there was so many trees like fallen.
Yeah. It was and I mean there was even the random coin tree, just that one random.
Yeah. Just really quirky, wasn't it?
Yeah, very quirky, but there's
just full of random coins. It wasn't like they're all set in pennies or 2p's.
No,
it was just
any kind of coin.
Any coin.
It's like tradition, isn't it?
Must be. I mean, does it keep away like a spirit or a curse or something? We don't know any of this stuff. Why would you?
Maybe it's people trying to get rid of loose change.
Yeah, you know what? That's fair. Yeah, people hate shrapnel, don't they?
Yeah.
I get that.
Knock into this tree.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll look into that. That's a bit interesting. I don't really know anything else about that money tree. It's so you wouldn't expect it, especially going there. You'd be like, oh, this walk alone is amazing, and then you just come upon a tree just full of coins that have been like we said, hammered into it. It's not like you can pull the coins back out; they are proper stuck in this tree. Oh, just so random and strange.
Like a really cool looking texture as well. That's very photogenic, isn't it? And
it's very true.
There are many photos we have been taking on that, but then again, we're waiting for the video to be.
It'd be kind of cool to research more into the history about it. And
before we
I think metal detecting down there.
Oh, so that'd be so cool.
What could you find? I think didn't we find like a...
We found the old barrels, straps to the barrels.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
That was quite interesting.
That was quite interesting.
So, I mean, if that one thing's there...
Who knows what else could be there?
Could be loads of stuff.
God, yeah. And then there's that house like right next door. I mean, they could just walk in and out all they want.
I wonder if that house down the bottom was also linked to it.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
Again, that wall on the side looks really, really old.
Yeah,
it sure does. Yeah, that was quite a fascinating place, was Kennel Vale. So those were I think those are all the places we've currently seen. I don't think I'm missing any. I didn't on the list. I think that's all of them to my current knowledge.
Yeah.
So now we're going to kind of talk about some places that we want to go to. We'll talk a little bit about them. So I've been making a list today, conveniently. So I don't know if you guys know about this one called the Great Flat Lode over by Carnbrea. It sounds a bit bizarre, but it's literally just like this massive rock that's quite flat on the top that you can like actually stand on. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I remember going up there as a kid, and I remember Dad, Tim.
Good old Tim.
There's big three like huge boulders.
Yeah.
On top of each other.
That'd be
My
that.
dad climbed onto the top of that.
Oh my god,
it.
that's
I
crazy.
I have a photograph somewhere.
Oh right, okay,
And
yeah.
ever since I wanted to do that as well.
Well, that's
So
something we
that's
got to see. I mean, it just sounds really cool and different to see, So
and there's also a restaurant up there.
That's
so,
true.
Yeah,
That's true. Can't go there
food.
yet, but maybe again one day.
Yeah.
One day. Yeah.
Um,
I don't know if they. That'd be great.
I wouldn't have thought they would have done takeout.
No, probably not. Another one is the Davidstow Airfield, which also apparently is linked to like some creepy woods nearby as well. So that's quite cool as well.
Is that
Yeah.
the lizard?
No, it's more like Bodmin. Davidstow is like a bit further north.
Right.
Yeah. But it's like a really good size airfield. It's got like a bunch of abandoned buildings and stuff on site, and there's like this whole control tower that has like graffiti and stuff you can go into and things. Yeah. Some of the pictures looked astounding, so I was like, that looks really cool. Yeah.
That sounds very similar to when me and Safe went off for a random walk on the way back from. I think we were coming back from Somerset or something. And we stopped off and just randomly went down this lane.
We went to Somerset. They did.
Somerset,
Some Somerset cider.
It's not during any lockdowns. Don't worry, it's years back. And we ended up in this it was almost like a big old airstrip. It was similar to that. And then around it there was these huge woods, and you look through these. It was just pitch black. It looked super creepy.
Do you have any idea where that kind of area was, or?
That was near Bodmin.
Okay, well that could have been that same place.
That could be the same one.
Maybe we missed.
You might have. You might have done. You never know.
Oh no! What we did see up there was this really completely burnt out car. Like someone had just set fire to it and covered in police tape. I was quite interested.
That's that makes
Unfortunately,
that makes a date right there. Job done.
Well, the airfield sounds good.
And then another one that's kind of cool to check out, because obviously the Bodmin Moor itself is a massive and astounding place. You've also got the rumours of the Beast of Bodmin as well, which is hilarious and dangerous.
Also the hairy hands.
Yep, the hairy hands. There's also supposedly a bizarre well somewhere in the moor that has like a lady was drowned there, I think, and she like tries to pull miners and visitors down into the well to kill them and stuff. But I think it's only at night, like it's a specific hour. It's really strange. There's also the Rough Tor, which I didn't put down any more information, but it says might require camping or a big expedition. So
that does sound like a rough tour.
Yeah, it does sound like yeah. He's a funny one, is him. Let's see. There's also Clay Country, St. Austell. It's like the clay mines, clay trail, and all that, which sounds different and everything.
They're nicknamed the Cornish Alps.
Okay. I didn't know that.
There we go.
See, this is why we talk about this stuff. It's because these guys obviously they're locals of Cornwall. I'm just I'm the tourist really when you think about it. Yeah, I'm the Emmett. I come in from outside with these same ideas as them, and we're like, let's be friends. And this is kind of how it all starts. There's also the Luxullian Valley, which kind of reminds me of Kennel Vale in its beauty, but it's over by Parway, which would be quite.
What's going to be down there?
It's just another like bizarre big munitions factory kind of place and stuff. It had like old mines and things, and some of the pictures reminded me of Kennel Vale, but some of the buildings are a bit bigger. And they have more gears and things like that.
That's more modern than Kennel Vale.
I haven't looked into it much.
It sounds
really cool.
This is something we need to look into. This list.
Exactly. Yeah. I think I've got another list somewhere. I'll see if I can find it again.
Yeah.
Then there was also in Pendower Beach. There's a hotel that's been abandoned for quite a while. It's called the Pink Hotel, and it's supposedly going to go through a level of reconstruction at one point, but it keeps getting stopped and it keeps getting put off. And a lot of the locals are just saying, "Oh, just fuck it, we don't want to actually do anything with it." They're like, just leave it for now. So you can apparently just go check it out. It's a really creepy hotel, but it's also near other hotels and other businesses that are active. Are
you allowed to go in there?
I have no idea. I've just made a list of cool sounding places. That, I mean, there's probably someone here you're probably not supposed to go to check out.
I'm sure
but,
because this is all for history,
Oh yeah, exactly. We're the new time team. We're trying to get some information for people.
Sure.
Our videos are educational, all right? We're here to make sure you understand what we're doing is dangerous. That's all. That's all. That's all we're teaching. What we're doing is dangerous, but that's educational. What not to do, and obviously the history. I mean, that's important too. Then we've also got like the ROC and the RAF posts. There's like a whole bunch of them in Cornwall, so that'd be quite cool to see. Just different like random airfields and the shelters, the bunkers, things like that. I think one has like a tunnel and stuff. I haven't done too much. There's a whole website for it, so that's quite good. Ramehead. I don't know if you guys know Ramehead or Ramhead.
I've never been up. I don't think I've been up there.
It's like it's like north, but also on the south coast, isn't it? It's just like a beautiful stretch of land and everything, and apparently it's just a great place to go have a wander around. There's supposedly a bunch of like old forts and things like that there, so that'd be quite cool to see. There's also the Nancy Cook reporting post, which I think is over by Portreath or Porthcowan, which is it's also attached to an old RAF airfield. Yeah,
I've heard some creepy things about that.
Yeah, that's right. So that's apparently quite cool to check out. Not 100% sure if we're allowed to go into it or not, but I will look into these things.
We can always look around the surrounding area.
It says
surrounding area.
Oh right, so it's still like an active base. Okay, that's interesting.
It's not meant to be active.
Because I think there's because this reporting post is supposedly like a building that you can see. It's like it's a building they don't use anymore. It's like an abandoned one outside the actual airbase. That's just what this story said anyway.
Yeah, because there's a couple. You literally, when you drive up there, when we go up there, you'll see there's like a big fence. Behind the fence it says all these signs like you will be shot, all that. It's pretty intimidating.
I'll test that.
There's even cameras up there and stuff.
I will not test that.
But on the other side of the fence, you can kind of park on. You're allowed to go into the field to the left, I believe.
Okay.
That's where there's like I think 3 or 4 buildings, which are all abandoned, and that could be it.
So there was also St. Lawrence's Hospital in Bodmin, which it's not exactly like properly blockaded off, but there's some pictures and stuff of the inside. And it's literally just an old abandoned hospital, which would be really cool to check out over by Bodmin. So that'd be quite something.
That would be creepy.
Exactly, creepy is
good.
We're
all about that.
We are absolutely all about that. I'm just seeing if I've got any of the other things. I've got like some things I could talk about, kind of like the Daisy dog, the Pekingese dog thing. You've got there's that shipwreck over by, is it Land's End? I think
just before.
There's a shipwreck down there you can climb on.
Yeah. The Harriet Hicks house would have been really cool to see, but I have no idea how to find that.
If any of you know where the Harriet
Hicks
house, that's like a tongue twister, isn't it?
Harriet isn't it?
Hicks house.
Yeah.
Can you comment below and let us know? Again, that was like a little bloody rhyme then, how beautiful. But let us know in the comments below.
Please tell us, because it would be interesting to see. Let's see. It might be here. Castle Andinus. I think that was linked to King Arthur. It's like I think it's still further up north a bit, but it's like it's got some old fort buildings attached to it, and it's like a massive. I don't really know how to describe it, honestly. Different wheels we can go check out. I think Wheel Busy was supposed to be a really cool one to see. I've never been to that one myself, so I'm not 100% sure.
I suppose we don't want to go during like peak season though, because it's going to be Wheel Busy.
Wow.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, by the way, Dan, this is just Dan. He's not doing this for lols. He does this because he is Dan. Let's see. Alistair Crowley House would have been really cool to check out. I think it is supposedly owned by somebody who's going to do something with it. So I don't.
We need to get there.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what's going on with that, but that would be really cool to check out.
Even if they did do something to the house, knowing the history of it, we won't get into it now. Knowing the history of it, if you knew that history,
you might not do anything with it. You'd probably You might just sell it on to somebody who wants it for a fortune. You know what I mean? And then the Haligi Fogue, I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. That's some kind of like an old tunnel, which looks really cool. I think it belongs to like a heritage site at the National Trust or something. So it's just an open to the public kind of thing anyway.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that's all that I've currently got on the list. I'm sure there's other places we can go see and check out.
There's one more which I really want to go. Obviously, once the whole thing's been lifted and all that. Over towards the Lizard. There's another abandoned airfield.
Oh right.
But there's like loads of bunkers on there apparently. Which you can kind of. I think it's kind of like. I think you're kind of allowed on there, but it's like a little bit frowned upon. But you're okay. It's cool.
It's one of those things. Yeah.
But there's maybe loads of old abandoned bunkers there, and also loads of like old military planes you can actually get into and have a look at. That sounds really interesting.
That is pretty cool.
Which is also near the shipwreck.
Oh
So
right,
perhaps we can
okay,
smash that
yeah.
out in one
Oh,
day.
that'd be
Two
fantastic. Yeah.
locations one day.
Yeah, and then somewhere around that same location is because I mentioned the Daisy Dog thing. It's like the Chinese princess who came like 200 something years ago, or maybe even longer. I can't remember. And I think she was trying to get over to, what was it, see the Queen or something. But for some reason, they had to be diverted into Cornwall. And then like some of the fishermen and villagers that were escorting her through the boat, they felt like she was doing black magic, and they basically killed her. And she was transporting these dogs with like ornate gifts and things like that, 2 Pekingese dogs. Yeah. They killed one of the dogs, but the dog had like babies as well, and they killed some of those babies as well. I think only the male survived, and they chucked them all overboard because they're like, oh, we don't want any curses or anything like that. And so she and like all the dogs and stuff washed up on this beach, and a local came out. He's like, oh, you know, shit, there's like a body here, and he goes up to it and like, oh, she's quite dead. And he's like looking amongst the stuff that's floated ashore, and he's found one of the dogs, you know, that was still alive, but it was quite wounded and everything. And he finds like a burial spot for the princess and for some of the dogs and things. And the remaining dog that survived guarded those graves. And so supposedly, like when he did finally die, anybody who goes near that gravesite feels like a ghostly dog bite.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know where it is exactly, but it is somewhere near Land's End.
So we're going to have to keep walking until we feel like some sort of invisible dog bite.
Yeah, I don't know if there's still like a gravesite that you can see, or if it's like you just kind of stumble upon it. I'm not 100% sure.
That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it's such a cool story, and I'm like, you know, there's all these amazing tales that involve Cornwall. It's like it'd be just amazing to see how much of it is real, you know. But anyway, we really hope you've enjoyed this. This was our first little podcasty get together, kind of a fun dick around thing, and we'll probably do some more in the future, talking a bit more about like our what we're doing, our sites and things like that we're going to be working on.
Any finds and
exactly. You know, this will be like where we can do proper big in-depth analysis of maybe like a specific video or a specific site.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Break it down now.
Yeah, we can talk about like our feelings about specific things. We could talk about. I'm sure we'll have a podcast episode where we'll talk about our feelings on the paranormal and the supernatural. We have to have one of those. You know what I mean?
That'd be great. Down some rabbit holes.
I'm sure we will, but that's we're allowed to do that in this kind of a safe space. I think that'd be brilliant to do. Right. Well, I think we'll stop it there. Thanks very much, guys. You stay tuned for another one.